Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. One of the biggest hurdles for VA in general, whether it's signing up for health care or getting your benefits through disability compensation, one of the biggest hurdles is the system itself. There's some legislation that has been introduced, and I wanted to talk about it because this could impact how veterans access their benefits, whether it's health care or your disability compensation. Now, before we jump into it, I want to throw on a very special thank you to Wireless Sunday 9897. Wireless Sunday 9897. Thank you so very much for that super comment, super chat thing. I really do appreciate your support so very much. All right, so on the U.S. Senate Veterans Committee on Veterans Affairs, the chairman, Moran, along with some colleagues, introduced some new legislation. And this legislation, like any legislation, will just sit there if we don't act, right? So if you support this, you must reach out to your congressional members, let them know, put it on their radar, let them know that this is something that you think would be important for the veteran community. And I'm gonna kind of put it like this. Although some things seem small, every win is a win. And when we stack all the wins up, that's a good thing, right? You don't want to just let things fizzle out because it's not that big of a deal or it doesn't impact you. So think outside of that a little bit and think about maybe your brother or sister that this might impact if it doesn't impact you directly, and how multiple wins create that kind of snowball effect, and the bigger, the better we are collectively as a group. Anyway, so hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I truly appreciate it. Every thumbs up, every minute watched really does support the channel in getting more reach out to more of us out there. So I really appreciate you guys so very much for that. Many hands make light work. All right, so the headline here is Chairman Moran joins colleagues in introducing legislation to improve access to care and benefits for veterans with disabilities, which is, well, every veteran who's service connected, right? And then how many millions are not service connected today is just a baffling number. If you just used, 18 million-ish veterans, 6 million-ish service connected, that deficit is 12 million. So 12 million veterans that are not service connected. What is the percentage of those that should be? It's a big number, I'm sure. All right. U.S. Senator Jerry Moran, chairman of the Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs, joined Senator Rick Scott in introducing legislation to help make certain the Department of Veterans Affairs is in full compliance with federal disability laws and provide guidance on ways to make VA programs and facilities more accessible to veterans with disabilities. I mean, out the gate, that sounds like something that should have probably already been happening and hasn't. If this is actually at Congress being talked about, it begs the question of, well, what was happening before? Let's move on. The Veterans Accessibility Act, that's the name of it. So if you support it, reach out to your congressional member. And look, you don't have to go meet people in person and, have handshakes and interaction if you're not into that. You can send them an email. You can go on their website, plug in your information, hit submit. You can call. If you don't want to talk to somebody when you call after hours. Leave a voicemail. Just make your voice heard in any way you can. The Veterans Accessibility Act would establish a 15-person advisory committee on equal access, which would consist of veterans with disabilities, disability experts, and representatives from advocacy organizations. The advisory committee would be responsible for evaluating and reporting on VA's compliance with federal disability laws and issuing recommendations for how VA can improve accessibility across VA facilities, programs, and platforms. Now, I personally I was a commissioner on a disabilities commission. It was not veteran specific, but obviously disabled veterans fall into that bucket. So I sat on that commission as a commissioner, and there's all kinds of things that are talked about and trying to figure out ways to make things more user friendly for people with disabilities. And I think that if you're curious about jumping into this, it's it's a small shot. There's 15 people. So, but if you think you have the background or the ability, we'll keep our eyes open and see where we can get involved with this. Moving on, there's a quotation here, and it says, in Kansas, and particularly in rural areas, veterans with disabilities face challenges accessing facilities and services provided by the VA, said Senator Moran. This legislation would establish an advisory committee within the VA dedicated to increasing accessibility for veterans with disabilities by improving access to VA facilities, services, and information, and making certain the VA complies with federal accessibility laws. Again, you would think that would already been buttoned up, but here we are. So, moving on. It is unthinkable that federal programs intended to support our veterans would be inaccessible to so many who live with disabilities and rely on these essential services, said Senator Rick Scott. Our veterans are American heroes who showed up to serve our nation, and they deserve federal government who shows up for them and a VA that stands ready to support them. I'm proud to join my colleagues in introducing this vital bipartisan legislation to ensure. That's Stan, my rooster. For those that don't know, he chimes in. Sometimes he's on cue. I don't know how it works. I'm just here. All right. So, vital bipartisan legislation to ensure the VA is fully prepared to meet the needs of every veteran who have made countless sacrifices, and sometimes he's off. Countless sacrifices to defend and protect the freedoms of our nation. The legislation is also co-sponsored by Senator Gillibrand and Blumenthal, as well as Representative David, I think it's I'm not sure, Valadio, introduced companion legislation in the U.S. House of Representatives. So, again, the important piece here is this is something that you support, you think is a good idea. Reach out to your congressional members, let them know, right? Both on the House and the Senate side, get them on board as well. I'll do a couple quotes here from a couple different organizations. Veterans with spinal cord injuries, and this reminds me, I saw an article on spinal cord stuff, and I think I'm going to do that next. All right, so veterans with spinal cord injuries and disorders regularly encounter physical access barriers as they navigate their communities and engage with the needed health care and services, said Heather Ansley, Paralyzed Veterans of America. The Veterans Accessibility Act will help the Department of Veterans Affairs to identify and address such access barriers in its facilities and online. We appreciate the reintroduction of this important legislation by Senator Scott, Gillibrand, Moran, and Blumenthal, and their commitment to access at VA for veterans with the greatest support needs. Yes, I agree. All right, so let's go on here to the next quote, just to let you, kind of let that sink in, who this is really targeting. We just heard from the Paralyzed Veterans of America. Let's move on now to one quotation by the Blinded Veterans Association. BVA, Blinded Veterans Association, has long advocated for the creation of a federal advisory committee to oversee and advise the Department of Veterans Affairs on accessibility laws for which the department has been largely non-compliant over the years, causing blind and low vision veterans monetary harm and adding still another detriment to their care, said Dr. Vernon Humphrey, Blinded Veterans Association. Our association commends Senator Scott for his leadership and perseverance to remedy this injustice by introducing and championing the Veterans Accessibility Act of 2025. If you agree with it, reach out to your congressional members. If this doesn't impact you directly, think about our brothers and sisters to the left and right, and let's help a brother or sister out, right? Thanks for watching. I appreciate you very, very much. Have a great one, and remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.